Hi, Katie here with the astrology for the week. It's a really exciting week this week, building up to the full moon in Sagittarius on Friday. So today, Monday, we have the waxing gibbous moon in Libra. Now, the moon in Libra seeks harmonious interactions and seeks to make peace. So we've got that lovely peaceful Libran energy seeking to balance whatever situations are occurring. And the waxing gibbous moon is a really good time to grow things and create things and start things. And if there's something you want to launch or create, the very best time to launch something is right before the full moon. So the full moon is on Friday. So on Monday, the moon is making a lovely trine to the Sun and Venus in Gemini. So we've got a lot of very sweet Venusian energy. Thoughts will turn to love and relationships, and there'll be that sweet quality of communication. Although the moon is opposite Black Moon Lilith, which is interesting. So there may be certain feelings which want to come out and more of a depth to the communication. On Tuesday, the moon in late Libra will come into a square with Pluto and Jupiter and then Saturn. So this is going to be the difficult day. It's the squares to the difficult planets. So obstacles and problems may arise. So just be aware of that on Tuesday. Things might seem difficult, but the energy will pass. So just take a look at what's occurring and take care to not be dragged down by obstacles. Always remember to anchor into the earth and connect to the light. On Wednesday, the moon will be in Scorpio, so there's a much deeper energy, deeper emotions are more likely to come out when the moon is in Scorpio, and it's making some very interesting aspects. There's a grand trine in water, in the water element. So a grand trine is like a key for us to really access the energy of that element. So we have an opportunity on Wednesday to really access the feeling realm and the realm of the emotions and the intuition. So the grand trine will be with the moon in Scorpio, Mercury in Cancer, which has recently moved into Cancer, which means our communications are much more emotional and sensitive. And also with Mars in Pisces. So Moon, Mars, Mercury in a grand water trine. It could be a very emotional day. Moon and Mars can sometimes bring up problems in relationships, problems at home, but there's a real opportunity to dive deep into the watery realms and find the truth of your emotions, find the truth of your heart. Now, the other interesting thing about this is that it's not just a grand trine, there's actually a kite aspect on Wednesday. If you look at the chart for Wednesday, the kite will be formed by the grand trine with the moon, Mars and Mercury, and that's also, the moon will be opposite Uranus in Taurus, and Uranus will be sextiling Mercury and Mars. So this creates a kite formation, which is seen as something related to fate and destiny, and the focal point of the kite will be the moon in Scorpio. So that could be quite a profound day, profound energies available on that day when you meditate. On Thursday, the moon in Scorpio will trine Neptune in Pisces, which is a really beautiful, deep, watery aspect, and the moon will also sextile Pluto, Jupiter and Saturn. So whereas Tuesday may be a difficult day with the squares, on Thursday we have some beautiful aspects which allow more flow and more ease, and the moon sextiling these planets gives us an opportunity to look to the gifts within the hardships and the lessons that are presenting themselves at this time. So some new solutions may arise. Now the moon trine Neptune, this is a beautiful aspect for artistic inspiration, poetic inspiration, receiving messages in dreams. It's Neptune, it's water, it's those deep impressions, subtle influences. So pay attention to your dreams, pay attention to the messages that you receive in meditation. It could be extremely deep and very healing. It's a wonderful aspect for healing. So as we come into Friday, the moon in Sagittarius, which is the sign of wisdom, faith, higher learning, really expanding the mind and building up to that full moon, which would be at 8:12 p.m. London time, that's 7:12 p.m. Universal time. And so what we have is the sun in Gemini at 15 degrees Gemini, and the solar light is shining on the energy of thoughts and ideas and sharing information, which is what we're all experiencing at the moment. And the lunar light will be shining in the sign of Sagittarius, the opposite sign. So this is the sign of wisdom that's deeper and wider and broader, and it's all about seeing the big picture. It's also the sign of seeking the truth, and if we want to know the truth, we have to look at the big picture, because the truth isn't found in one or two tiny fragments. So it's calling on us to open our minds, see the big picture of what's going on in the world, broaden our minds, try to accept and integrate other points of view, see where they all fit in, and also looking at the big picture of where you want to go in your life, because Sagittarius is the archer who fires his arrow at the highest target. So it's time to take your aim, and regardless of what you see going on around you, really reach into your heart and feel, where do I want to go? Where do I want to be? What does my soul want to aim for? What am I here to do? And the Sagittarius moon will help us to access that. So it's a great time to really focus on your ideal, where you would ideally like to be, what you would like to create, what you would like to bring. What are your highest aspirations? And it's really good to balance the energy of Gemini, which is the energy of details and finding out a little bit about a lot of things, and the energy of Sagittarius, which really seeks to learn in depth about something and bringing in that energy of faith and wisdom and farsightedness. It's also the sign of adventure, so you may feel a new stirring for a new adventure. And remember that we're creating with our minds all the time, so pay attention to your inner world and your heart and your dreams, and continue creating, continue co-creating and creating with your mind. And on this full moon, we have a partial lunar eclipse. It's a penumbral eclipse, which means its effect won't be quite as strong as a full eclipse, but it's still a lunar eclipse, which has a deeper effect on us, and it brings up emotions and it brings relationships into focus. And there's a lot of aspects in the sky right now focusing on relationships, so this is quite a fated time for soul connections, soulmates, twin flames, and all the relationships in our life are undergoing a karmic shift right now. Now this is a very active full moon, because it's not just the moon in Sagittarius opposite the sun in Gemini. The sun is also conjunct Venus in Gemini, which is of course retrograde. So it's illuminating that Venus retrograde energy, which is diving deep and going introspective into the Venusian energies of love, relationships, and also talents. Venus retrograde can be an amazing time to dig deep and look within and find hidden talents emerging. So it can be a really precious time. Now the sun and Venus and the moon are also forming a T-square to Mars and Neptune in Pisces. So a T-square is a very dynamic aspect. It's the opposition, and there's also a square, so it creates a tension. So there may be heightened tensions, heightened emotional energies around this full moon. And with Mars Neptune in Pisces, this is the masculine energy, but it's also full of that really beautiful dreamy energy of Neptune, which is quite a feminine energy. So that in some ways is like the higher divine masculine energy, Mars Neptune in Pisces. And also with Mars square to Venus, that aspect is dominating the week, and that is bringing up issues of the masculine and feminine energies. So masculine and feminine energies within us, you may become aware if one is weaker and how you can strengthen that, and this will play out in your relationships. So relationship issues are definitely coming to the fore now, so don't be surprised if things come out, and just try to take them in your stride, because where there are imbalances, they will seek to come out in communications, because of course Gemini is the predominant sign at the moment as well. So this full moon is going to be a very, very deep karmic cleansing, shifting and rebalancing and relationship healing. This is the time for healing your relationships, looking at the wounds that come up and really healing the inner child and healing the depths which have only just allowed themselves to come up in this moment. You know, it's a very, very profound time of shifts and healing, and all your relationships will shift. And once you allow that shift within you, everything around you will shift and ascend, because every bit of healing we do, every bit of work, spiritual work, ascension work, it raises our vibration, and it raises the vibration of all the people around us, and it all ripples out into the collective. So don't forget, every time you do some healing on yourself or another person, you really are giving a gift to the collective, which is so important in these times. So with the moon in Sagittarius, this really is a time for allowing that essence of wisdom to come through and shine through, and allow yourself to open up to deeper levels of wisdom and insights that come through from your guides, from your spirit team, from the wisdom teachings, and things may reveal themselves to you. Sagittarius is the sign of the truth seeker, and many of us are seeking the truth right now and seeking to pierce through to the deeper levels of truth and remove the layers that have been obscuring the truth from us. So expect much to be revealed on this full moon, because the full moon is the time of revelations and removing all the veils. With the moon square to Mars, this can be an aspect which brings out domestic conflicts. So, you know, there may be conflicts and agitations happening with the people around you, people you live with. This is normal, it's to be expected. So try to, you know, remember to keep that detachment. If someone's coming at you with their emotional stuff, their emotional drama, just be in 0 point and just look at what they're doing and just don't engage with it, because once they get the emotional hooks into you and the dramatic hooks, then they can pull you down to their level, and that's what you don't want. So just be aware and detach from any drama. Mars in Pisces conjunct Neptune can be very emotional. It's like the deeply emotional male energy, and it's also, you know, Pisces is like the inner child, it's the dreamer, it's the fantasy world. So it can be that very playful, beautiful, emotional male energy, but also with Neptune there could be illusions. It's the energy of seduction. It's the energy of, you know, maybe being a little bit escaping from reality. So just be aware of that as well. I think a new level of knowledge will reveal itself with the Sag-Gemini axis, and then the deep emotional realms of the Piscean realms, Mars, Neptune and Pisces. So we've got the air, fire and water. So there could be a lot of fireworks, dramatic interactions, playful, fun interactions too, because Gemini is the child, it's very playful. Pisces is the fanciful dreamer and escape artist, and Sagittarius can also be the clown, you know, the wise philosopher and the clown. So there could be a lot of fun to be had. So remember to keep it light if you can, and look for the gifts in the situations that arise. So the full moon brings out the positive aspects of Sagittarius and all that beautiful deep wisdom and insight and knowledge and far-sightedness. And interestingly, the day after the full moon on Saturday, the moon will come into conjunction with the South Node in Sagittarius and to opposition with the North Node in Gemini. So this is a day that could bring out more of the shadow side of Sagittarius, which is the shadow side of all these beautiful wisdom qualities. So that could be, for example, a teacher who's too dogmatic, or people who are too rigid in what they believe, because it's all about beliefs, teachings, wisdom inverted. So it's about being stuck, it's about the shadow of that. So false light teachings, I think, are coming out and being revealed and coming out to be clear, because there's too much of that. It doesn't help with anything. We don't need that when we're trying to bring the light and bring the truth and bring the truth of wisdom to the world and everybody waking up. We don't need those false light teachings. They are such a trap. So the South Node of Sagittarius is going to root those out. And of course, opposing the North Node in Gemini, this is reminding us to come back into the lightness and the curiosity and doing our own research and finding out for ourselves, finding out the good information, the true information, and not being controlled by people who need to be right or people who are too rigid, too blunt. The shadow of Sagittarius is also that bluntness that's very fiery and harsh. So if you want to speak the truth to someone and you want to share your truth, ask yourself, is it kind? Because if you want to speak the truth but it comes at the cost of really hurting someone, is it worth it? You know, so more compassion and empathy are needed, and we have that with all this beautiful Mars, Neptune and Pisces energy. On Saturday, the moon will also come into a square with Uranus, so this is the day for more shocking, surprising events, unpredictable events. So just be prepared, take it all in your stride, because they keep coming, you know, nothing's going to stop them. So that's the moon square Uranus day. Uranus is associated with breaks and changes, shaking up your routine, things coming straight out of the blue that you just weren't expecting at all. And this can be in the form of people or events. On Sunday, the moon in Capricorn will come into opposition with Mercury in Cancer. So this could be quite an emotional day, because as Mercury moves through Cancer, it's causing us to look more deeply at our feelings and emotions, which some people don't do all the time. And with the moon in Capricorn, that's very much about the material world and taking care of your finances and your basic reality. So this could come into opposition with our thoughts, feelings and emotions, our emotional world. It's also the polarity of home and work, you know, being at home, looking after children, or paying attention to your business, these kind of things coming into opposition and finding the balance. So all in all, it's a very powerful week. Remember to grow things, create things, launch things just before the full moon. It's a time of growing wisdom, and I'm sure many revelations will occur, much relationship healing, many new insights, many surprising events, new information coming to light. So stay grounded, keep your center, and allow your natural wisdom to shine through.